Welcome to the Horror Chronicles with your hosts, Ryan and JT. Now follow us through the deep, dark realm of the horror world. Let's talk all things horror. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Horror Chronicles podcast. I'm Ryan, and with me as always...
I'm JT. You guys were waiting for it, weren't you?
It's a surprise, not.
Sneaking viral now.
What's up, man?
Not a lot.
I see the decorations are coming along nicely now, finally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've been working our asses off. Halloween's right around the corner.
Yeah, you're usually...
We're, 3 days away?
3 days from the great time. But you're usually way... done with your stuff by now.
Yeah, this year we kind of put some stuff off. I don't really know. Probably laziness was more of the...
Well, busy. We've been starting this. We
have been busy.
We're doing the podcast and stuff now, so it's kind of like, it's just busy. Life gets you busy, man.
It does. It kind of gets away from you. But yeah, you saw the new tomb that I built the other night. Looks pretty cool. I've been wanting to build one of those. They call those a My Beloved tomb, and that's kind of why we put the skeleton girl on her knees beside it,
Oh, yeah.
Like she's weeping.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of cool. The lid will slide open on it, and there's a fog machine in there, so the fog just kind of rolls up over the top of it. Pretty creepy effect.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, especially since you guys got to realize this is all him making stuff.
Yeah, my wife and I are really into Halloween, and we build a lot of stuff.
It looks store-bought, though. Like, when I pull up on it, because, the wind had blown.
It's not supposed to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks good, though.
Right.
That's basically what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
It looks like it's something you would buy that someone built.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this thing for a while. We built a lot of our own stuff, like my flying crank ghost in the mausoleum.
Oh, yeah.
I built him.
You know what we should do? We should get some pictures and put them on the Facebook page.
For sure.
That's what we should do, for sure. That way people can kind of see what you do.
I've got a few taken, but I need to do that at night because it looks really creepy when everything's lit up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The whole cemetery with the mausoleum with the ghost in the back, and now that new tomb.
And those two guys you made, the ones that, what are those, with the praying ones or whatever, they got their...
The mudmen is what they call them. That's because you basically make them with there's a frame underneath them, and you put burlap over them, and you coat them in this. They call it monster mud. It's basically paint and plaster mixed together, and you just kind of smear it on them.
Those look cool.
They look like a couple monks standing there.
Yeah.
We put candles on them, and
they look cool out there. I seen those pulled up today when I was pulling
the little details.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good, though, for real.
We get really excited about this time of the year.
But yeah, I'm glad of getting it done. But so today, everybody, we're going to be doing a urban legend.
Oh yeah, urban legends.
And we love urban legends.
There's a bunch of them out there.
A ton of them. I love urban legends. They're some of my favorites. And there's some that that aren't really talked about. Like, I kind of talked to you about this one before. And I think you said you hadn't really heard of it, but I can't remember the exact name. I'll look it up, as a matter of fact, but it's the licked hand or something like that.
The what?
Yeah, so check that out. We're going to have to cover this one on a podcast, but anyway, basis of it is something like this girl, her hand is hanging over the side of the bed, and she has a dog that, licks her hand sometimes and stuff like that. Well, it happens every night, blah, blah, or whatever. Well, her dog... I think winds up dead or something, and then her hand's still getting licked or something like that, and she has a mirror on her
on her
on
dresser,
a wall or dresser or something,
okay.
And she could see so she looks up because she knew her dog had died, so she looks up and there's a guy licking her hand.
Oh my God!
From under her bed. So yeah, there's more to it.
Wow.
So we're definitely gonna look that one up. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
We just took this in a totally different direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many out there that.
There are.
That people know, but not a lot of people know. I figured if anyone would know, you would know it, but you didn't.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah,
I've heard some crazy ones, like the whole, what's the one where you wake up in a bathtub full of ice in a hotel room and you're missing a kidney,
There's some crazy...
The guy with the hook on his hand and it's dangling from the car door.
Yeah, the hook.
There's a lot of them out there. Of course, today we're going to talk about my favorite, and that's the Vanishing Hitchhiker.
Which is a good one, too. And I just, like a week ago, I mean, we didn't pick nobody up, but a week ago we were driving home. It's probably like 9 o'clock. We were driving home. We were on a straight stretch that's right before my driveway. There's a straight stretch on the road. And we're driving, and I start to slow down and stuff, and my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you don't see those 3 people walking? She's like, there's nobody walking up there. What are you talking about? I'm like, there's 3 people up there. And there was nobody there. And I literally seen 3 people walking towards us. And she's like, there's nobody there. What are you talking about? So I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, so, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, but everybody knows what urban legends are. I mean,
maybe we should talk about that.
Yeah, let's get into it a little bit.
So, urban legends, for you people that don't know, are basically old folklore tales. They've been around forever. It's, usually a story that you've heard from a friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Or sisters, brothers, uncles, cousin, or something, Really, when it comes down to it, these stories, they kind of get into your
psyche.
Yeah,
kind of, so to speak.
Kind of like they get under your skin, and because a lot of them are things that could possibly happen. They could possibly not happen.
Yeah.
Some of them are really far fetched, like the losing a kidney in a bathtub. But
yeah, I mean, it's saying sometimes like your parents would tell you something like if you don't go to bed at a certain time. I know there's some legends in different areas of the world, like if you don't go to bed, this person's going to come get you at nighttime, or this thing is going to come at you at nighttime. And I got to remember, I'm going to look it up sometime, but I remember seeing, I was watching something on TV, and it was about urban legends and scary stories and stuff. And there was one really good one about that, about some girl or woman that comes after you at nighttime if you go to sleep or whatever. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff. That stuff's creepy. I remember, I don't know if it was necessarily an urban legend, but I remember whenever I was younger, I was watching Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, I love that show.
And they had an episode about, it was like a 12-foot tall woman that came up and down the riverbank, like screaming up and down the riverbank. And she was all, nasty looking in a white dress, blue skin, dark, long hair, it was soaking wet. And she would go up and down the riverbank at night. And if she seen you, she would come at you screaming super fast and stuff like that. And
sounds lovely.
Yeah, dude, it sounds awesome. It sounds creepy as hell, really. But that's something that'd be cool to see, I think, personally. But, I'm weird.
Yeah. We all know this.
But anyway.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Because we're both weirdos.
But anyway, so let's get into the Vanishing Hitchhiker a little bit here. See what's going on.
Okay, so most people have heard this story. It usually starts with, somebody driving down a road. Usually it's a guy. And he sees a beautiful woman standing on the side of the road and says, hey, I'm going to pull over and give this girl a lift. She looks like she needs help. So he'll pull over, invite her into his car. She'll get in, which is really odd as I started tracking down these stories. Most of the time they get in the back seat. But anyway, she'll get in the car and give him directions on where she needs to go. And he'll continue on his journey, and he's going to give this girl a ride home. Most of the time, he will get to the destination, and this girl will either get out of the car and vanish, or sometimes they don't even get out of the car. They're just gone.
Yeah.
Usually, the guy will pick up the girl, he'll take her to her parents' house, pull up in the driveway, he'll look towards the house. When he turns around to ask, to talk to her, she'll be gone.
Yeah.
He usually, in the story, goes to the house, knocks on the door. The parents will open the door or answer the door, and he'll say, I just picked up so-and-so. Do you know this girl? And usually it come to find out it is their daughter. who has been dead for years. A lot of times the parents, they've been through this situation numerous times, and they'll explain to the man, our daughter's been dead for years, and this is not the first time this has happened. Sometimes in these stories it goes even farther, where the girl will be cold, so the man will give her his jacket, and she will disappear with it. In those instances, the parents will tell him, our daughter has passed away, and she's, and the man doesn't believe them, and they will direct him towards her grave, and he will he'll find her grave in the local cemetery and find his jacket folded neatly on top of her tombstone.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the whole, her getting in the back seat thing, I think that may have been something that people did to add to the lore, because if you think about it, the atmosphere of it, you're in the front seat, she's behind you in the back seat. Right. You're looking at her normally probably through the rear view mirror. Yeah. So it adds that extra little bit of creepiness to, know. And which is awesome because it does add it.
Yeah, it's definitely a creepy story. If it has ever happened to you, you'll never forget it. It has personally never happened to me. I know this is going to sound weird. I would love for that to happen to me. Yeah. But I don't pick up hitchhikers.
Me either. Not anymore anyway. Yeah, you can't. Nowadays you can't.
You can't trust anybody.
Yeah, at all.
Especially a ghost.
Yeah. But I know, I remember seeing a video online, and I don't know if it is real, of course. You never know. It's on. I think I've seen it on YouTube. I go down the spiral of ghost stories and videos and stuff, Yeah. But these three guys, there's two guys and a girl. They picked up this girl walking down the side of the road, and she was really decrepit looking. She didn't look like she was dead, but she looked like she had a bad night or a really, really good night. Either way, however you want to see that. But and she gets in, and she doesn't say nothing. Like, hey, she gets in the car real fast, and there's like, so what's wrong? What's going on? And she just looks forward. And then she finally says, just go this way, go that way, or whatever. Well, then, they get down the road a little bit, and once they get to a certain part of the road, the chick just starts screaming bloody murder, and from the person videotaping from the backseat, what I think is the girl. Okay. She goes right up on the camera screaming, and it ends. So I don't know if it was real or not, but it was creepy as hell.
Right. Oh yeah.
So it added to it.
There's not many movies out there. In fact, I can't think of any movies that revolve around a vanishing hitchhiker, because I don't know that you could stretch that out into a 2-hour segment. Yeah, you possibly could. The movie that comes to mind, that comes the closest, is this movie called The Passage, I think is what it's called. And it's not even really a vanishing hitchhiker story. It's, kids go out and their car gets, they see something spooky on this road because they hear it's a haunted road, and strange things happen.
It's definitely something that you would see on a Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt.
Yes, in fact, there is a Twilight Zone episode that is very similar, and I think, I don't remember the name of it. I think it's called "Are You Going My Way" or something like that. Mm-hmm. Basically, this woman has taken some money from her boss, and she has left town, and she's driving cross country, and every so often she sees the same old man standing by the side of the road with his thumb out, hitchhiking, and every time he looks at her and waves. Well, at some point, towards the end of the episode, she sees the man, and she keeps seeing him more frequently, and she's just trying to get away from the guy, so she's running and running and running, and she sees the old guy standing somewhere. I think she pulls in to a convenience store or a gas station or something, and sees the old guy there, and she just says, no.
Yeah,
and takes off. Well, she ends up getting caught by a train. There's a train going across the road, so she has to stop. And the next thing she knows, she looks in her rearview mirror, and this old guy is standing right behind the car. And he walks around to the window, and he taps on the window. And I don't remember what he says to her, but he ends up getting in her car, and the episode ends. The woman finally realizes who this guy is and why he's there, and you just get the feeling that she has died.
Yeah. And
this whole episode is her trying to get away from death.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
So yeah, it's a pretty cool episode. If definitely worth a check out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you definitely. I don't think you'd be able to, unless you went hardcore into the characters of the show. You wouldn't be able to make that into an hour and a half, 2 hours.
No. Now it may pop up in some sort of anthology film.
Yeah,
when I say anthology film, I'm talking something like along the lines of Creep Show or Trick or Treat or something like that.
It's different stories.
It may have popped up in something like that, but I really don't know. I haven't found anything yet.
Yeah, the stories of like this are kind of just something that's like a personal thing.
It is.
Like you said, it's something that
very personal.
It's something that usually you're the only one that seen it, and no one else is really going to be able to. It's like it's a personal deal. It's everyone's probably different. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What's interesting about the whole story is there are so many different variations of it that go all the way back to the Bible. Mm-hmm. There's a story in the Bible about the Apostle Philip appears on the side of the road, and this guy picks him up in his chariot, and he ends up talking to Philip and decides that, hey, there's a river there. I need to be baptized. So this guy takes Philip down to the river. Philip baptizes him in the river. And after he is baptized, the Lord comes down and takes Philip and he disappears. Well, and then this guy just goes about his merry way, But there are so many different types
variations of the story.
Right. It's happened to men, it's happened to women. There's even cases, and it's not just in the United States, it's happened over in Europe. There's a story in Mexico, and I think the guy's name was, I know this sounds out there, but I think his last name was Rodriguez. He was a cab driver that picked a woman up, and she disappeared inside his cab. Sometimes these ghosts get in your vehicle. It's usually always invited, but sometimes it's not. Backstories years ago, they used to talk about how these ghosts would either jump in the car or jump up on the running board of the cars as they were driving down the road.
Sound like an Uber driver.
Yeah.
Some of their stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But there's some creepy tales out there if you really dig into it.
Yeah, like I said, I
cool
like the whole aspect of them getting in the back seat, because that's super creepy,
It is.
You're looking they're behind you, and then you're looking through there.
Because you're very vulnerable when somebody is behind you.
That's your bet. Like I said, I've done martial arts stuff, and that's the key. You get someone's back, son, and normally it's going to be over. So, but just imagine that. You're going down the road, and there's someone popping up. You look in your rearview mirror, and there's someone in your back seat. I always check I
do too.
For me,
and you know why? You know why I always look at my back seat? Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween, when Michael Myers is in the back seat and Nancy... what
was her name? Her last name?
Well, her Brackett. Her father was Sheriff Brackett.
Yes. So, that's right.
So Nancy goes out and gets in the car.
She's going to go pick up her boyfriend.
Yeah, she's going to pick up her boyfriend. She goes out to the car. The door's locked. She's like, oh, I forgot my keys. Well, she sings it. No keys.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. So she goes back in the house, comes back out. The door's unlocked. She gets in the car and realizes the windows are fogged up. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Michael Myers is in the back seat.
And there wasn't a good
time. She didn't look. So it's funny. I have always looked I always look in the back seat whenever I get in the car.
For me, I'm a weirdo. I prepare for everything. Call me a prepper, whatever you want to say.
He's a doomsday prepper.
Yes, I prepare for everything. So just doing it in martial arts, you always have situational awareness, which is kind of funny to me because I love horror movies. And there's always the obvious.
Yeah.
So in my head, and I'm that guy. I won't ruin a horror movie. If I'm in the theater, I won't say nothing. I won't do nothing. I have to go into it with the mind of this is entertainment. Do not think about it. But sometimes, like, you got these people walk into a room and there's someone hanging from the roof, like, or up in the roof in the corner. How do you not notice that, bro?
Yeah.
But like for me, I always check my back seats just because I'll walk around the vehicle and make sure, that's just who I am. But it's also kind of because of creepy shit. People can get in there and freaking, you just never know, man.
They can. We've seen it happen numerous times in the movies that we watch.
Michael Myers gets away with it all the time.
He does. He does. But Michael Myers is the man. The shape.
Yeah, exactly. But this is a really good one. And like I said, they're more personal. They're definitely personal stories. And sometimes more than one person will see the same ghost.
Yes.
Or the same spirit.
Yes.
And today we're going to get into a good one of those, but it's a well-known one.
Yes, it's very, very famous. And of course, we're talking about the story of Resurrection Mary. So, Resurrection Mary started from a story out of Chicago, Illinois. There is a road up in Chicago that runs from Chicago through several different counties, and I'm not sure where it ends, but it runs through this Justice County. But the story of Resurrection Mary is pretty interesting. Started 1920s, 1930s. The story goes that Mary went to a dance with her boyfriend. They were having a good time, dancing at this dance hall. What was the name of that place? I'm drawing a blank on the name of the place. It has now changed hands, and I think now it's called the Westfield Hall or something like that. Anyway, her and her boyfriend end up getting in a fight, and she decides that she doesn't want to be around him anymore, so she's just going to walk home. Well, it was kind of chilly out that night. She leaves the ballroom and starts walking down Archer Avenue, and she doesn't get too far down the road and is struck and killed by a hit-and-run driver. And they just left her for dead. They didn't stop. Never came back. Nobody ever knew who hit her. Well, her parents ended up burying her in Resurrection Cemetery, which is right down the road. They buried her in her white party dress and her dancing shoes because that's what she loved to do. She loved to dance. So you go forward a few years, and the first sightings of her were in 1932. There were sightings of her on the road, but nobody really thought too much about it. The first known case of her interacting with anybody was in 1939. And it was a guy, his name was Gerald Pallas, and he was at this dance hall, and the dance hall, I remember that one, it was called the Liberty and Grove Dance Hall. And he met this beautiful blonde-haired girl at this dance hall and struck up a conversation with her. They danced all night, had a good time. At the end of the night, she was going to head home, and he knew it was pretty cold outside, so he offered to give her a ride. She agreed, and they got in his car, and she directed him down down Archer Avenue. So they drove for a while, and they talked, and he started noticing that they're not really anywhere around, there's nothing around them.
Yeah.
So as they're driving, she says to him, I need you to pull over. And so he obliged. He pulled over, and he was like, why do you want me to pull over here? And she said, well, this is where I need to get out. And he kind of looked around, and he could see way, way off in the distance on the right side of the car, way out in the woods, there were a few houses, but it was pretty far out there. And he thought, why is she getting out here? And he said, I can take you to your house. Why do you need to get out here? And she said, well, this is where I need to go. And he said, well, can I walk you home? And she said, where I'm going, you can't follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And, he thought that was kind of odd. As they were sitting there, he looked to his left out the driver's side of the vehicle, and he noticed they were right in front of Resurrection Cemetery. When he turned back around to talk to her, she had shut the door. She was out of the car. Well, he assumed that she was going to run through the woods to these houses. Well, she didn't. She ended up running across Archer Avenue towards the front gate of Resurrection Cemetery. And when she reached the front gates of Resurrection Cemetery, she vanished. This guy told this story. Like I said, it happened in 1939. This guy wholeheartedly believed in this story, and he believed it until his death in 1992. This guy retold this story on numerous TV shows. He was even on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
Very creepy story. Very creepy.
Yeah, and it's crazy, too, because, knowing about ghosts, because like I've talked about before, I had my own ghost hunting team and stuff, and I'll be getting in that again eventually. But, that goes to show you that there's what they call an intelligent haunting.
Yeah,
because they know you're there.
There's residual. And
residual. Yeah, they know you're. And she clearly knew, and evidently she was at a place dancing with this person, which is a lot of people don't even think about. That's the craziest part to me, is that she was there dancing with somebody at this place forever.
Yeah.
And with all these people around, so that means either A, they seen this weird dude out on the dance floor by himself looking all crazy dancing with somebody, or B, everyone there seen her. So that means everyone must have seen her there, which is crazy to me. That.
Right.
Or they said that they didn't send him the crazy guy because he was out there dancing by himself.
Yeah.
So
well, and maybe he was
and that's it's crazy.
Maybe people just didn't ever
tell him anything because they don't want to approach the dude. He's out there dancing by himself.
Yeah. Mary has been seen by numerous people throughout the years. If you guys are interested in this story, there's a fantastic book put out by Troy Taylor called Resurrection Mary,
which is right in front of us.
Now. In fact, I've got it laying right here because there's a couple little things I want to read to you out of this. But it is actually called Resurrection Mary: History and Hauntings of Chicago's Archer Avenue. Fantastic book. There is a ton of information in here. If you haven't checked out Troy Taylor yet and you're into the paranormal, shame on you. This guy has got some fantastic stuff out there. He has got a ton of books, and I've got quite a few of them. I've met him on several occasions. He's very genuine, very authentic.
He's got a few podcasts too.
He does. Him and this guy Cody Beck are doing this one called American Hauntings Podcast,
which is cool.
Which is really good. And they tell all these stories. I am sure that this story has come up on his podcast because this is one of Troy Taylor's favorite stories. He absolutely is infatuated with this.
Yeah.
And has been since he was a kid. And it's kind of funny for him. He said that he got into it when he was a little kid. There was some cereal company, I think it was Honey Smacks or something like that. Like around Halloween, they had like a record that was built into the box, and you could cut out the back of the cereal box.
Oh, that's cool.
And play this record on your record player.
That's pretty
One of the stories on that record was the Vanishing Hitchhiker. And it was a lot like the first story I told you, where the man goes to the house, they lead him to the graveyard, and he finds his jacket on the tombstone. Just creepy stuff. I mean, really cool stuff. Yeah, if you are interested at all, I'd highly recommend picking up this book. And it's got more in it than just the story of Resurrection Mary. There is a ton of information in here about different hauntings around Archer Avenue. There's several cemeteries that have had known sightings. There's just a wealth of information in this book. Really cool stuff. Really cool.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it'd be really cool to be able to have that experience.
It would be.
I've had stuff happen to me before, like I said. Well, I mean, I kind of, like I said the other day with the three people I seen walking up the road.
Right. Right.
I mean, it could have been, I guess, my eyes. I work, 12-hour shifts, so, I mean, it could have just been my eyes saying, it's time to go to bed. But, I've had quite a few things happen to me. I've never talked to a ghost, personally, or had one dance with me all night long at a freaking dance hall, and then...
I've never danced with one. Have I talked to them? Yes. When I was younger, me and a couple of buddies of mine, we played with a Ouija board a lot. A lot. I should be possessed. Or
maybe
repossessed. I don't know, maybe I am. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. But, we used to play with a Ouija board a lot and contacted several spirits. Had some creepy stuff happen when I was a kid, but that's a story for another time.
Which we will tell. We'll get into our personal stuff.
But, if you don't mind, though, I would like to talk about this other encounter with Resurrection Mary real quick.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This happened August 10th of 1976. So basically there was a guy driving down Archer Avenue, and as he drove past Resurrection Cemetery, he noticed that there was a woman in a white dress inside the cemetery. And he thought that was really odd. He kind of stopped and he watched her for a minute, and she was roaming around the tombstones and up by the front gate of the cemetery, which was closed. Not knowing what to do, he continued on down Archer Avenue, and he went to the Justice Sheriff's Department and told them that, hey, I've seen a woman. I think she's locked inside the cemetery. You might want to send somebody down there to help them. So they sent a police officer, one of the deputies, down to Resurrection Cemetery, and he pulled up to the front gates, and he didn't see anything. He kind of spotlighted the cemetery and didn't see anything. He ended up calling out on his radio, the loudspeaker.
Yeah, loudspeaker over, yeah.
He ended up calling out on the loudspeaker, and nobody responded. So he thought, well, I'll get out of the car and kind of investigate a little bit.
Walk around.
The cemetery gate's locked. He can't get in there. So he gets out of the car, and he's got his flashlight. He's got his flashlight in his hand, and as he walks up to the gate, he notices something really strange. Two of the bars on the gate are like twisted and kind of smashed together, and they're like a burnt black color, and he can see like texture of skin and fingerprints in these bars. According to legend, I guess it is that's where Resurrection Mary was actually seen standing. Now, of course, the cemetery completely denied it, and they said, "Oh no, we were working on the gates, blah blah blah." And maybe
could
they
be
were.
true. Could
maybe
be.
They were. But shortly after the story came out, they ended up cutting those two bars out of the gate. I'm assuming they got bombarded by people that wanted to see evidence of Resurrection Mary.
Yeah, and what's weird about that is it's like, why were they burnt like that? Like, if you can envision in your head that if it was her, she had a hold of them and something happened to her and she bent them and burned them and twisted them. But I mean, that's usually something that's kind of demonic. It's not really a ghost type thing.
Right.
So like maybe she's getting away from something. Maybe something wants her.
Maybe.
It's weird because and something that I think about. I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about how they were talking about movies, about ghosts, preferably the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Well, what he was saying, he had. Okay,
are we going to do a clay bowl?
No. There's a guy. He's a really super smart guy named Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh yeah, he's an astrophysicist.
Yes. Well, he was talking about. He was on Joe Rogan Experience for everyone. That's who are listening to this, and they're talking.
Just so you know, he was on Rachel Ray the other day too.
Yeah, he's on.
Not that I watch Rachel Ray, but
that's where he's seen it at because he's watching.
That's where I seen it.
But anyway, they were talking about how it's funny that he's walking through walls and stuff, and he can't shake no one's hand, and he can't do this, and he can't do that, but yet he can sit down on a couch because there's a scene in there.
That's a good point.
And basically what Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about is that he can't watch movies because in his own head, like I was talking about earlier with me, I let stuff go. I let it go. I go into a movie saying this is entertainment. This is all I'm here for, is to be entertained. Let it entertain you. He can't do that. So like even on the stuff that all of us and definitely me and JT for sure don't understand, like the mathematics to certain stuff, and like when he watches a spaceship movie or something, no, that could never work. This wouldn't work. Why is this here?
I do that all the time.
But I can't. I try to let myself go on that. But he said, but he brought up a pretty good point, and I was like, he sits down on the couch and sits there, and does other stuff, but he can't. But he walks through walls, and he can't pick something up, and he can't.
Maybe the couch is haunted too.
Yeah. Well, and here I was thinking about this. Maybe it's something like he's trying so hard to pick something up, because he's focusing on it. But when he gets frustrated or something, I can't remember the exact scene, but he goes to sit down like it's just an everyday thing. So it just happens because it's not.
He's not focusing.
It's just okay. Yeah, this is what I do. So this is what he does, which made a lot of sense to me. So like people freaking think that
it's just a normal incident happening to a paranormal person.
Yeah, he just sits down like his regular day. I've been thinking about that since I heard that, and I'm like. So you know how sometimes when you're listening to a podcast, which you guys probably do, you're like talking to the podcast, like no, that's wrong, dude. This is what it is. So like you wish you could just call into the thing, but it's already recorded. So
I did that just the other day. These guys were talking about the movie Salem's Lot, and they didn't even know the names of the characters. I'm yelling at my radio, and then it dawned on me, oh shit, they can't hear me.
Yeah, you just wish you'd call in, like, listen, this is what's going on, damn it. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that much of a tangent on that, but I just think with the whole thing, she could have clearly got out if it was her. However, it's just everybody adds their own little twist to things, so to speak. Right. That
and nobody really knows what is going on in the cemetery. Just a little backstory, that Resurrection Cemetery is like one of the largest cemeteries in the state of Illinois, and possibly one of the largest in the country.
Dude, I would love to go there.
Very big cemetery.
I would love to go there.
I would love to see it at some point.
And her headstone, is it still there? Her stuff's all still there?
That I don't know. I would assume it is.
Dude, that'd be awesome to go.
There's not many times where graves are moved unless you're in the movie Poltergeist.
But it happens.
But it does happen. It does happen.
As a matter of fact, I think I just read something the other day about a place that
was moving a cemetery.
They did. This lady moved into this new complex. What was it? It was on a TV show, one of the TV shows, which we'll probably talk about. But it's called Kindred Spirits.
Oh, I've heard of that show.
And it's got these two people that used to be on Ghost Hunters. Taps, the original Taps, they were on the Taps team. But this lady had a plaque or something of a World War II soldier grave, like a headstone. Mm-hmm. The ones that are on the go on the ground. It was in their backyard. They were digging.
Wow.
And I can't remember. I didn't watch the rest of it because I have kids, so I try to get into something, and they're like, "You're not going to do that anymore because I want to do this." So that's usually how that goes. But it'd be interesting, man. If you think about it, a lot of the Native Americans, their stuff got trampled over. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
what was cool about them was. You hear stories about they would go into these like huts that were like completely closed off, and they would go in there and they would smoke their peace pipes and talk to the spirits of their
spirit world.
Yeah, I always found that very intriguing.
Well, have you ever heard of ayahuasca? Ayahuasca or DMT? DMT, your body produces naturally. That's how that's why you dream. DMT is a drug, and I learned all of this through Joe Rogan Experience. So
nice.
If I'm wrong...
I need to start listening to him.
I don't think I'm wrong at all because I've also heard a lot of other people talk about it. Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about it when he's on there. A lot of very smart people talk about it when they're on there. But DMT, your body naturally produces. And that's why you have dreams. When you go to... And that's why also...
I thought you had dreams because of Freddy Krueger.
That's why but that's why when you die, people say you get that euphoric feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You feel at home. You feel peace.
At peace. Yeah.
Your body's producing high amounts of DMT, and basically, your body. Grass is full of DMT. There's all kinds of foods that are full of DMT, but your body produces MAOI inhibitors in your stomach.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And that blocks you from tripping basically on this DMT every day. And but you can if you use ayahuasca, which is the old school way that Native Americans, I don't know if Native Americans use it, but like in the jungles, they used it. It's two different plants. One has these blockers that blocks the MAOI inhibitors.
Okay.
Blocks them out. And then the other one you take for the DMT. And when you take them together, your stomach doesn't block it out, so that's so you trip. And it's a very long and pretty, like you throw up, you do all kinds of crap, but anyway, you trip for like a while. You can go somewhere and actually do straight DMT. It lasts for like 15 minutes. You don't have none of that stuff, but you can do straight DMT. And but what I'm getting to here is everybody who does it winds up seeing the same. There's a little figure that they see in the corner of like their peripheral vision. From what I'm understanding, I haven't done it.
Like a shadow person?
No, it's a being, and they talk to it. Every person sees the same one. So that's why they say.
Whoa.
That's why they say you go into there's different dimensions, or different different dimensions, and they say that this opens your mind up. Because like the human mind is something that's crazy, man. We don't really understand.
we only know 10% of what the mind can do.
And that's what they said with this. It opens your mind up to something, and like everybody don't have the same experience, but they see the same being and they talk to these beings. And there's different ones too they talk to. Like there's these little gnomes. Everybody sees them. Almost everybody sees the gnomes. You get to a certain level with this DMT stuff.
It's like Christmas.
It's crazy, man. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Like I've never done drugs at all. I know I'm boring.
Oh my God.
But
I feel like I'm in chemistry class in high school here.
I learned so much. I know it's funny because like that's what everybody talks about me, because like I know so much about drugs, period. But I've never used drugs at all. But I know almost everything about them just because it's interesting to me, dude. Because the mind's interesting, dude. The stuff you could do, it's just crazy.
I know what they do to you.
Yeah. You look like you know what they do too. No, but but anyway, that's what I was getting to with the spirit thing, is that they talk to the spirits, man, and like there's another plane. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that goes along with the Indians that we were talking about.
Yeah, and that's what I was rolling around into. They get into this, they get into this different dimension. They talk to and that's my whole point about wanting to do stuff like this and talk about stuff like this. There's something else out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I truly believe that. And you talking about dimensions and stuff, that could lead us down a whole other rabbit hole of, are there alternate dimensions? And if we're doing this in this dimension, what are we doing in this other dimension and this dimension?
You have got to listen to Joe Rogan Experience. Dude.
We're going to get into some crazy stuff later.
Yeah, and because like, dude, these guys, even Neil deGrasse Tyson, Jordan Peterson, these other guys that are super smart, they're talking about how.
I'm sitting here thinking you're super smart now.
I love it. I sound like I'm smart, and I'm not. But
for once, he sounds smart and not just smart ass.
Yes, I'll still be a smart ass till the day I die. But they talk about there's infinite dimensions and infinite dimensions inside those infinite dimensions, and they say that everything that you do is being done at the exact same time as you're right. I mean, it's in all these different dimensions. It's all happening. Dude, it blows your mind.
So what you're saying is there's two other jacklegs sitting in a different dimension talking into a microphone about the spirit world.
Dude, it's just great. Like, but they could be doing something different though. It's fun. It's so weird, man.
Maybe the other two guys are naked.
Yes. Well, then it's the same thing that's going on right now.
I got my shirt on.
I got my socks on.
Whoa.
But anyway, no. But what I was saying with this, the DMT thing is really, really cool, and that's why you're
cool.
And that's why you're. And that's why you're.
I definitely need to check that out.
You'll
have to send me the link to that.
And that's why you dream, with your body naturally produces DMT. And what's crazy about it is that it's illegal in certain spaces, you know what I'm saying? And like I don't know, I want to do it.
Yeah.
But you have to trust the person you're with to do it, because if someone's around messing with you, then you're going to be going on a bad trip.
Right.
And they say that you have to let it take over. A lot of people try to resist it and not let it take you where it's taking you. And when you resist it, that's when you start having a really bad trip on it. Or
I don't know. I think I'd be too paranoid to do it.
Yeah, it's just you have to really be in a comfortable spot. That's why a lot of people go to the actual jungle and do the ayahuasca stuff. There's a whole dude, they have a shaman who plays a song, does a song that's strictly made for this DMT trip. And when you hear it, it goes along with the whole. It's so crazy, man. And what's cool about it is too, from what I'm hearing is, like the language these beings talk to you in is not your language, but you understand them and you speak back to them in that language. So we're not speaking, like for us, they're not speaking English. They're speaking a completely different thing. You're speaking the same thing and understand them.
Wow.
So crazy. But anyway, I mean, we just went on a freaking 10-minute tangent about DMT.
It was cool though. It was cool. I learned a lot.
Yeah. So, but anyway, back to some scary stuff. I mean,
yeah. You've got a fantastic story about this place. It's called the Screaming House.
Yep, in Union, Missouri. Which is not too far from us.
No, not very far at all.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to find some local stuff. I got some places of my own that I know about. Once we get to be able to do video and some different audio stuff, guys, because, we're just starting off with this, I'm going to have some cool stuff that we're going to be doing. There's big things that we want to do for everybody and for ourselves. So it's all going to be a big process, and we're just hoping to build this up around you guys, and you guys help us, and we'll keep it going. But
yeah,
anyway,
for sure.
Yeah, the Screaming House in Union, Missouri. It's now, I believe, a dog kennel because I guess no one really wants to stay there.
The dogs probably don't want to stay there.
They're probably like, yeah.
And that's the other thing. They talk all the time about how animals are more perceptive to paranormal events than humans are. Oh my God, them dogs are probably freaking out.
Yeah, and so this one's pretty well known, kind of. Actually, it's been on TV. The most famous case of it was a man named LaChance is his last name. Stephen LaChance. And he went on a lot of shows. And I want to say he had his own little internet page maybe or something for a while.
Yeah, he may have. I do know that he did some work with the Paranormal Task Force out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he actually worked with them or if they just kind of
interviewed him and stuff.
Did some stuff with him.
But I mean, his story is pretty cool. I mean, it's not a super long story, and it's not like, but I mean, he's a single father, and he was getting ready to be evicted. And they've been living in the apartment they were in for like I think 2 years, and he had 4 children, I believe, and he was a single father, like I said, and so he was desperate, trying to find a spot to live, and so he went and checked out every single ad he could about places to move into. Well, he seen this ad for this place, and it was like a ridiculous deal. So he's like, all right, we'll check it out, and you guys know how that goes. If you see something that's too good to be true, then...
Hey, it's like they tell you, if you see something, say something.
Yeah, it's probably too good to be true. But anyway, he shows up at this house, big, nice farmhouse that's been well taken care of. He thought, sweet, man, this is a good deal. Let's see what happens. So he went in, put his app in and stuff, so they invited him to the open house. He goes to this place, and as they walk in, they notice that like all the original wood fixtures, all it's older, the old antique stuff is still like pretty pristine condition. So he's like, well, that's pretty cool, still nice, well kept.
Yeah.
So he put his app in, and as he was talking to the lady that was showing the house, he was thinking, he's like, it was weird because she was kind of showing the house like it was a museum instead of like a house. You know what I mean? Like talking like, you know, oh, and this is from the 17 blah blah. You know, talking about it. It was just weird. It kind of made him think.
Are we seeing a house or going on a museum tour?
Yeah, is this going to be? Yeah. So he gives her her application.
She's not your salesperson. She's your tour guide.
Yeah. He gives her the application, and she, as he's handing it to her, she goes, "You know the responsibility of living in a house like this, don't you?" And he goes. At first, he didn't think much about it.
Well, what the hell is that supposed to mean?
At first he was just like, "Oh yeah, I know it's a beautiful house. We'll take care of it." You know, he was thinking at first that like, you know, it's an old house with nice antique stuff. You need to take well care of it.
You know, if that would have been me, I'd have been like, "What the hell does that mean? Is there some old lady living in the attic and I got to take care of her or something?" Place?
But anyway, so he gives that, and he doesn't think nothing about it. About a week goes by. She calls him up and says, "Hey, let's meet at this restaurant or something, and we'll let you guys move in." He thought it was a little weird that she wanted to meet at a restaurant instead of going to the house, you know, and finalizing everything and going through and make sure he lets her know about everything, what's going on, and do a run through. They didn't even do a run through, like, of the actual house, you know. They kind of just. But anyway.
Damn, she's really ready to ditch this place.
Yeah, so he signs the paperwork, whatever, and it's move-in. It's move-in time, and they start moving in. And pretty much from the time they move in is when they start noticing things, you know. He noticed first off that all the doors had the old what is it, hook and latch locks on them.
Yeah, okay.
But they're all on the outside of the door. So on the in the hallway.
So
basically,
you would be locking people in
instead
room.
of locking people out.
Whoa.
So he noticed all that, and then he's like, "Well, that's weird, but whatever." And this place also had a basement. It had a butcher shower and an old fruit cellar down in the basement.
Okay, now what is a butcher shower?
Basically, people used to butcher their own meat.
Right.
So that's where they wash their meat, wash their blood off them. I mean, basically, where they prepared their meat at. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because old farmers and stuff like that, I mean, you had your own cattle. Why would you go buy meat? You butcher your own, you know? But anyway, I know exactly what you're saying, because as soon as I said it in my head, I knew what you were thinking. Because I was thinking the same thing.
You don't stick your head up the cow's ass. You just kind of take the butcher's word for it.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Anyway, so they're out doing yard work one day. And he sends his youngest boy down to the basement to go get a hose so they can water the garden and stuff, whatever. So his son goes down there, and just a few moments later, he comes running back up the steps, screaming and crying. Comes running out there to the family, you know, they're out there doing the yard work, and he says, Daddy, something chased me up the steps. And he's like, "What do you mean something chased you? What chased you?" He's like, "I don't know, but it was big." So they all go down there to check out what was going on. They didn't see nothing. Well, they've been hearing throughout time, you know, they weren't there very long, and throughout the time, though, they hear footsteps coming up, loud footsteps coming up the basement steps. When you would lock the doors, they would start rattling, like something was trying to open them and get out.
Out of the basement, or
no, upstairs. The upstairs doors, the ones that have all the locks on the outside.
Yeah, okay.
And so that would happen all the time, and he kind of, you know, they tried to avoid it, whatever, not think about it. Well, he was getting ready to go on a business trip, and he was packing up the kids and ready to go spend some time with their grandparents while he was on his business trip. And as they're getting packed up, they're all ready to go. They're in the living room, getting ready to head out. He kind of sees in his peripheral vision a figure standing in the kitchen, a dark mass.
No.
And so he kind of just puts his head down and kind of wipes his eyes, you know, and it was like, okay, maybe I didn't see that. Wipes his eyes. As he looks up, though, thinking it's going to be gone, you know, he notices that now it's even closer. And it's inside the actual family room that they're in, standing there.
Screw that.
Yeah.
I would be freaked out.
So he's got two choices. He can either run out screaming and crying with the kids, forget all their stuff and leave, or he can just kind of make it nonchalant, like it, ignore it.
Get the kids
try
not to freak out the kids.
Get the kids out to where, and then so that's what he does.
That makes sense.
He's like, "All right, kids, let's get loaded up. Let's go see Grammy." They get up, they start walking out, but as they're walking out, they hear this loud banging, like boom, 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 3 of them, and then a loud, like a man's scream, but like it just cuts through your soul scream of a man, like just screaming this deep dark scream. And they take off running, and as they run out the door slams behind them. They still hear that bang, 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 3 of them real loud, and they hear the guy screaming, and then they get loaded up and get the hell out of there, of course. But as they're leaving, the kids are looking back, and all the lights are on in the house. Every light in the house is on, and they see a dark figure going from room to room, like it's looking for them. And the whole time they're driving,
they're outside the house.
They're outside driving away.
Okay.
As they're driving, the dad's pulling out of the driveway, they're looking back at the house, and they see all the lights are on. And they see a figure moving from room to room.
Wow.
Like it's looking for him. And this whole time that they're running out and everything, that scream's going on the entire time. So much that the dogs all over the neighborhood are barking. And they head out, never go back to the place again. He goes back later on with people, never brings his kid back there. His kids never go back there.
Oh, no, I don't think I'd ever take my kids
and,
back there.
Yeah, man, that story, basically the same thing. People hear the screaming and stuff coming out of it. But like I said, now I believe it's a dog kennel. But, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I know the story has been on TV. It was in that series, A Haunting.
Uh-huh.
I think they called it Fear House in there.
Fear House, yep, that was the name of it.
A pretty cool episode. There's, a little bit of information in there.
Yeah, there's some good information on that. And he's been, literally you look it up. Just type in Union, Missouri Screaming House, or just type in Stephen LaChance and it's going to come up.
And I think I've heard that there's a book out on this too.
I don't know for sure. I know it's been everywhere.
It's been in some other books and stuff. Probably.
Yeah, for stories. Yeah,
I had thought I had heard whenever you were talking about this story. I had heard about this story, but I'd never really read up about it or anything.
The thing is, it's not like you would think. It's not like a super long story, so people.
Oh yeah.
But he's smart. He's not like other people. He got out of the house and left.
Do we know how long they were in that house?
I know it wasn't long at all. I know it was a few months.
I
know it wasn't a very long time. Because they said, like, from the beginning, when they moved in, stuff started happening. And he's a smart guy. He's one that actually got his family out of the house instead of being there. Because, like, a lot of people don't know. We'll get into it later, but I'm not going to go too far in it. But, like, The Conjuring, the real story is crazy compared to what because there's two different you got two different variations. People, all these movies that are great movies, I love them.
Oh yeah.
But they're coming from Ed and Lorraine Warren's point of view.
Right.
The actual daughter, and Andrea, I want to say Perrin, she's got, from what I understand, she's got a 3-movie deal. She's putting out a movie, 3 movies
to tell
big time, tell the actual story. She said that it's actually scarier and more stuff happened than what they put out. But they didn't want to put it out. First, they said it was too much unbelievable. But she said it actually happened.
Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
Yes, but what I was going to get to is that the fact that they lived in that place, in that farm, for like 10 years.
Wow, dealing with this whole time.
And she said, and what's crazy about it, she acts like it wasn't. The main thing that happened was her mom took the blunt force of everything.
Yeah. The
kids didn't have too much happen to them. But it was her mom was like dying in there basically.
Wow.
But they lived there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. Yeah. We need to save this story for another episode.
I just wanted to. I was just saying, he was a smart dude. He got out. It was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Definitely some cool stuff.
Yep. So I think we're gonna wrap this one up, guys.
So yeah, we talked a little bit about Resurrection Mary. Please go out and check out that story. It's very creepy. The Screaming House with Stephen LaChance.
There's all kinds of information.
I love stories about haunted houses.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into more later.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But for today, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. So keep it creepy. All right.